An energy baron is suing John Oliver for defamation of character. How did this all start? Well, Oliver on his show did one of his long exposés on the coal industry. And one of the figures in that coal industry is Robert E. Murray of Murray Energy, who at the beginning of the entire screed that John Oliver had against him, Oliver says, this guy sues everyone. We reached out to get information from the company to get their response. And Murray's company sent a cease and desist letter saying that he would sue them for up to $1 billion or something like that, and take it to places like the Supreme Court. So John Oliver, in a very John Oliver way, said, well, I really have to do it now. Went through the whole process, delivered his criticism of Murray in a comedic, satirical way, revolving around a mine collapse in Utah that Murray says was the result of an earthquake, but Oliver says was the result of negligence. And Oliver is backed up by numerous reports in various news outlets, as well as government organization that did a postmort on what happened during that. But that did not stop the suit from going forward, saying because defendant Oliver omitted any mention of the other reports that ostensibly Murray's energy company sent, he was aware of that evidence that an earthquake caused the collapse. As Mr. Murray correctly stated following the collapse, defendant Oliver's presentation intentionally and falsely implied that there is no such evidence, and then went on to say that Murray's website was hacked after this, and Murray's own health declined after the show aired, quote, likely further reducing his already limited life expectancy due to his idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So these 2 minutes in a 15-minute piece killed this man. Thoughts?
Well, it was 24 minutes.
24 minutes, yeah.
The whole thing was
the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing, yeah. I guess it was. It took me the whole time driving here.
Yeah, it was a while.
It was a full episode.
So in order for him to prove defamation, he needs to prove slander as well, which he needs to show that what John Oliver presented was false, and that John Oliver was spewing falsehoods that then defamed his character. And I think that's going to be very tricky for him to prove.
Yeah.
And I think that is why most of the lawsuits that he settled, I think it's about 9 in the span of like about 10 years, something along those lines, have settled out of court. I mean, there isn't much of a case here. That said, it is very wackadoodle. And I'm also very surprised that John Oliver said in the segment they had never been served a cease and desist before. They'd never been served a sort of a letter like this from the lawyers of someone who they were covering, because they've done a ton of hit pieces on, I want to hit pieces, I say that in a loving way because I really like the show, but they have kind of, thrown a lot of shade at a lot of people who super deserved it. And I'm surprised that this is the first person who is, firing back, but it doesn't look like he has a lot to go off of.
Yeah, I agree with you, Grace. I just have 4 things to say about this, okay?
Go.
Let's do 2 and 3.
Okay. The first one is that was John Oliver's clapback was probably one of the best I've seen on TV in a long time. 2, Murray, the facts are there. What John Oliver was saying on the show is not fake news. It's legit. 3, that HBO and their attorneys and all the powers that be are going to make sure that everything that came out of John Oliver's mouth was actually factual, because they don't want to they don't want to be reporting anything that's not accurate. And 4, Murray, that's I don't want to say the F word because it makes me look like an idiot, but I'm not going to say. Okay, that's the screwing you got for the screwing you did. The end.
Yeah.
Also, that the medium that it was presented on is a satirical show is also not, it's just gonna be really difficult to prove that it was defamation, because there is, for satire and parody, if you know a little bit about media law, which I know a very little bit about because I took a course in college once.
Good for you.
And I didn't do well in it. In any case, that is one of the major loopholes, is if you can prove that it is parody or satire. And
or educational.
Right,
That's
so I
fair,
guess
yeah.
it's a little, so I think that John Oliver has that in his corner, and I think they sort of know, down to the squirrel jokes, down to how he looks, all that stuff. It's not suing another newspaper, which we know that he's done, even small newspapers that he sued for $1 billion.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
For $1 billion, well, I mean, if you see the
coal
clips.
tycoon parody of himself.
If you see the clips used in Oliver's piece, and that's when you write a piece like that, you're supposed to let them hang themselves with their own words. They show this guy calling Barack Obama having an evil agenda where he's trying to kill a whole industry and attack a bunch of folks. How is that not defamation of character? I think the biggest statement on this guy's character is this lawsuit. Aside from everything that was said in Oliver's piece, levying charges like this that go so over the top and are so melodramatic, like saying that it's shortening this guy's life expectancy, if that's in every one of his claims and his lawsuits, and this guy is an elderly gentleman. If it really is shortening his life expectancy, then he should be dead by now.
Also, let's not forget that he's a major contributor on Fox News. Whenever they have Cole stories, he has popped up quite a bit. So he's used to being in front of the camera. He probably knows a little bit about publicity and the rule that is any publicity is good publicity, and I think that that's sort of why he's milking this. I don't think this is gonna go to trial. Also, there's no way that a court is gonna hear this.
Also, regardless of what Oliver said, the most powerful moments in the piece are, Murray's own clips. And then there's this one clip that's from a deposition or a hearing in which the families of victims of this mine collapse talk about the time when Murray yelled at them as they were just asking questions like, where are our family members? Also, there is one report that I could find mentioning that earthquakes can help tell the tale of what happened in this mine collapse, but the official reports say that the earthquakes surrounding this mine collapse were the mine collapse. So when a mine collapses, it sets off seismic activity. It was like a 3.9 earthquake that registered, but that's what happens when the mines give way. And so I feel more comfortable siding with the reports from an unbiased government agency over this guy who, has every reason to say it was an earthquake and then sues anyone who says different.